Hello guys, welcome back to another Rebels podcast. If you are new here, then this is a podcast that I do every month over on Patreon, and it is uploaded on Patreon first and then uploaded onto YouTube a month later. So if you want to know the nitty gritty and want to watch these podcasts before anyone else, then come and join us over on the Rebels Patreon. I will leave it linked below. Now, this podcast, I don't think it's going to be a long one, but it's something that I have been struggling with lately and thought it would be the perfect kind of subject to talk about on this podcast. And that is professionality and how I struggle with this. And I'm not hoping, I don't want anyone to really struggle with anything, but I'm hoping I'm not alone. I'm hoping I'm not the only person that kind of feels like this and had these experiences growing up and is the reason why I feel like this. But yeah, I'm going to just dive deep into what's been happening, what's been going on in my mind, and just voice it out to you guys. And if you are feeling like this, then as always, hopefully you won't feel alone. I've been feeling these feelings more when it comes to YouTube sponsorships. So last year was the first kind of time I ever got YouTube sponsorships, and it really, it opened up my world, and it was a huge reason as to why I was able to quit my job and do my business full time, which has obviously been my dream since day one, 7 years ago. And I was really proud of myself with what I was doing. However, this year I haven't really had any sponsorship opportunities come up yet, as much as last year. And I, as always, dive deep into my head and think the worst thoughts. But there is something that I feel like I personally struggle with and have struggled with since I was young, which is like professionality and talking professionally and talking well. Like, I'm sure you've watched these podcasts, and sometimes I just can't get my words out. I don't know how to say certain things, and that always makes me question, am I good enough for these things? Am I good enough for sponsorships? Am I good enough to, ever one day maybe be invited to a talk? I would love to be in those kind of positions, and I would love that position to come to fruition. However, I don't feel like I am professional enough, or I'm not professional. I don't know how to really say it. Like, I view it as professionality. However, I don't know if that is the right term, but I just feel like I don't talk well enough for these kind of things. And yeah, it really, really gets me down. When I watch other people do voiceovers for sponsorships, I sit there in awe because they sound incredible. They just talk well, and I feel like a lot of my voiceovers are rushed, I'm not talking well in them, and basically they're crap. That's how I feel, and I feel like that is the reason why I'm not getting many sponsorships, or sponsorships that I've had previous come back to me. And it's really, really heartbreaking, because it just takes me back to how I used to feel in school. I struggled massively in school, especially high school. I would be put into isolation a lot because I would act up in class. I could tell that my teachers were never interested in me because I was shit at doing maths, at English. I had one English teacher that was the only ever teacher that really believed in me. And I will always remember that teacher, and I'm just so grateful for that person. However, all my other teachers, they just didn't care. Like, they thought I was crap, basically, so they didn't pay much attention to me, which is why I acted up, which is why I got sent to isolation. And I remember the day I got my GCSE results, and when I tell you I worked my arse off revising for my GCSEs, like, I spent hours in my bedroom. My bedroom was covered in, papers and research, and I was highlighting everything, and I was like, if I highlight it all, I'll remember it. If I highlight certain parts, I'll remember things. However, I felt like I needed to highlight everything because I wanted to remember everything and I couldn't. And I just struggled. It was so difficult, and I failed my GCSEs. The only things I did well in are drama and music. And it was just, I've always had that experience in high school in my head. And then I got to uni, and it was a bit of a good thing and then a bad thing. I obviously met Tom. Tom watched me write, type, and then asked the question, have you ever, been tested for dyslexia? And I was like, no, what the frick is that? And I got tested, and I have dyslexia and dyscalculia. And do you know what? When that came through, everything made sense for me. Why I couldn't focus, why I just couldn't do things in school, because I was someone that needed help for it, and I didn't get that help. So I was trying to navigate something that I didn't know I had all by myself, and the teachers should have picked it up and should have, helped me. And it was something that made me just breathe, like a weight off my shoulders that honestly, it sounds so horrible, but I, for years, would just call myself thick and dumb and ditzy. And it was the first time where I realised I'm not. I just need a bit more help with things. And it just really opened my eyes, and I loved it. And I was so glad that I did it, and I was so grateful for Tom to mentioning it. And it really changed my life in uni, because I got help, extra help on the side, and I got a 2-1, and I wrote a 10,000 word dissertation. Yes, it was about Miley Cyrus, which was the best time of my life. Like, I absolutely loved writing about Miley Cyrus, but I did 10,000 words. And if you would have told me that in high school, I wouldn't have believed you. So it was just, I'm so sorry if you can hear Bryn, there's someone outside, and yeah, he's just going to keep barking until they leave. It just really changed my life. I was really grateful, and it was amazing. However, I remember having this teacher in my commercial music course, and I remember him sitting me down and going through my paper, and he was complaining about how it wasn't great. And I said, I know, I've got dyslexia and I'm getting help for all this kind of stuff. And he was like, I understand that you're not academic. And when he said that to me, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. It's really strange why I'm getting emotional about it. But when he said that to me, it really broke my heart, and it really broke me. And I was just like, what do you mean I'm not academic? And that made me feel like I couldn't do anything but sing. And I think all those things have kind of stuck with me, and it's the reason why I think that I'm not professional enough, and that people won't want to work with me because I can't talk the best, or I'm not as good as other people. And it just, lately I think it's because I haven't had any of my sponsorships, really, not many. I've had one sponsorship come back, but others I haven't, and I haven't had any new ones pop up yet. And I've seen, obviously, my fellow small businesses freaking smashing it and getting sponsorships, and it's incredible. And I know that feeling, and I'm just so proud of everyone that's that this kind of stuff is coming their way. But it's stopped for me, and I know it won't be stopped forever. I know that, but right now this is how I'm feeling. And I think all those kind of situations that happened when I was younger affect me and how I feel about these situations now. And it just makes me feel like I am not good enough for doing these sponsorships. And it's the same with my business. Am I professional enough on my Instagram? Am I professional enough when people see me in person? I've got this trade show coming up in London. Am I professional enough for that? And it's all this stuff that's going on in my head. And then I go back to, and when I did the jealousy podcast, I'm kind of having those thoughts recently, and I hate those thoughts. And it's just being hard, and I wanted to voice it with you guys. and kind of talk to you about what I'm going to do about it, because I can't just sit here and constantly think these thoughts. I can't. Otherwise, if I just sit here, then nothing's going to get better. So I have decided to take time to watch other people's videos and see how they do their voiceovers and learn from others. I need to learn how to do it. It's not that I can't do it. I just need to, it just takes me a bit longer. It takes me a bit longer to learn things, and that is okay. And sometimes I need help. And by help, I mean watching other people do it themselves, you know. And another thing that I'm going to start doing is when I do voiceovers, if I have to redo it and redo it and redo it, then I have to redo it. Like, I don't want to rush into them. I don't want to make mistakes with them, and I want them to be better. I did my last Kittle sponsorship on my last YouTube video. I'll link it down below. And I did a voiceover, and I made sure that I wrote notes down for it all, and I also made sure that I redid it as many times as I needed to, and I was a lot prouder about that voice note than others. Definitely more room for improvement, but I could see an improvement from my other sponsorships. So yeah, I just wanted to sit down and talk to you, because I know so many of us creative people struggle with, you know, ADHD or dyslexia or dyscalculia or dyspraxia. Like, there's loads of things that I feel like creative people struggle with, and which is why it makes us so special and like so fun and amazing, you know. Like, there are incredible perks to being how we are. But I wanted to see if anyone else kind of went through those situations or is going through this at the moment. You're not alone. I don't know how people view me, if people view me as professional and are shocked to hear this. Highly doubt that. But yeah, like, this is how I'm feeling, and you're not alone in it, and is watching this and hopefully can understand this podcast and relate. But yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you. This is the end of the podcast. I told you it was going to be a short one, but it feels so nice to be able just to speak out loud and tell you guys how I've been feeling this month. And I didn't really have anything to chat about for this podcast, but I may as well talk about the things that I'm actually feeling and things that I'm scared to kind of talk about openly. And that is what I want to do for this podcast. You know that I love being able to kind of come out of my comfort zone and be honest and truthful with you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. If you are a patron, this is the last day of February. We're going into March. I'm so excited, and I would love to know if there are any taboo subjects or subjects in general that you'd like me to talk about on this podcast. I will, even if you don't want to comment them, you can message me privately, and yeah, just let me know. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Please make sure to press that subscribe button and that notification bell, and make sure to go and watch all the remaining podcast episodes that have been done so far. And if you would like to join, like I said at the start, we would love to have you at the Rebels Patreon. It is a whole space dedicated to small businesses to make them feel less alone, a space where we can feel supportive, friendly people, the most incredible people in my eyes, and we love to add to the family. So yeah, I'll leave it linked below. But thank you so much, guys, for being here and letting me just talk about my feelings. It really truly means a lot. Right, I love you guys, and I will speak to you next month in another Rebels podcast. Bye.